Hello, everyone. This is Maya Zahira with psychicprotectionsanctuary.com. And I am going to go through a little mini lesson with you today. These are 5 signs that you are definitely dealing with a false light entity. So, first, let's define a false light entity. This is the term that I use to describe any type of a negative spiritual being that is pretending to be a being of light. So, this could be a non-beneficial ghost. This can be a demon. This can be a jinn. There are other types of entities as well, but those are the most common ones that I tend to see in the world of spiritual seekers. And so this is the 5 signs that what you are dealing with is a trickster entity and not what you think it is. Okay, so let's go over number 1. Sign that you are dealing with a false light entity. Number 1, the entity starts off in one form and then it later changes. So here's an example. I was listening to, actually, I've heard more than one story from different people where they would have what they thought was their spirit guide. Their spirit guide would appear to them as a homeless person. And then many years later, that guide, so-called guide, would change and shift so that then it presented to them as Archangel Michael. I've heard that story more than once from different people. And that is a sign. It kind of blows my mind that the signs that I'm going to go over, to me, it's so obvious. I think because I can see false light entities, but it's like, okay, if a being is in one form and then later it changes form, aren't you going to question your trust in that being? Like, there's something not right. And usually it'll explain it away. Like, well, for some reason I wanted you to get to know me in this other form or whatever. It's total bullshit, you guys. It is an imposter entity. It's a false light entity. And I don't want to burst your bubble if you are someone who has had that situation, but it's time to see the truth, okay? So number 2 sign that you are definitely dealing with a false light entity is that the spiritual being starts off positive. Let's say it's pretending to be your spirit guide, or it's pretending to be some ascended master or something like that, and you're seeing it in your meditations, or you're having these spiritual experiences with this spiritual being. It starts off positive, and then at some point along the line, there's a split second where you see its true form. It's like a fraction of a second. Its facade slips and you see something scary or unsettling or different than how it is usually presenting itself. This actually happens a lot. I've had a lot of clients over the years who've told me stories. Actually, a lot of times that's how they will first find me, is that they've had this weird experience where they thought they had this wonderful spirit guide, and then for a split moment things got weird, and then it went back to the illusion, and they were like, what was that? And then they have me do a psychic read to confirm, because I can psychically look at what was happening. So I can tell you from all of those stories over the years that it is guaranteed that if you have that scenario where it starts positive, like it could be in one meditation, or it could be years of meditations. Okay. It's all positive. And then there's just this tiny moment where the facade slips at some point along the line. Guaranteed you have seen the truth. So stop questioning what you know to be true. The thing that's been pretending to be your spirit guide is not what it says that it is. Otherwise, it wouldn't have slipped. Okay? You wouldn't have seen the truth. You were supposed to see the truth because something is protecting you. Okay? Number 3 sign that you are definitely dealing with a false light entity is kind of the opposite scenario, sort of, to number 2. This is when the entity starts off scary and then later turns positive. Now, this is another one that blows my mind. I'm like, why are people falling for this? I am a compassionate person, but it's like we have to have common sense. And I think common sense goes out the window when we're dealing with spiritual matters. So let me give you an example of a scenario that I see a lot. Very common scenario is when someone has been doing a lot of drugs. And this is not about judgment. This is just the scenario. Someone's been doing a lot of drugs. The drugs do have a negative impact on the person's aura, on their energy field. And it is one of the most direct ways to attract negative entities into your field. So then the person starts to see, hear, and or experience one or more dark entities. It could be demons, it could be jinn, it could be disturbed human souls, it could be other things. So they start to have experiences with one or more of these dark entities. And the common scenario is that the person then heals later. They heal, they stop doing drugs, they get on a healing journey, and then magically, these same entities that were demons before now are telling you that they're angels or that they are your spirit guides. And I know, and I don't mean any disrespect at all. I'm always coming from a good place, you guys, but I know many professional psychics who are channeling messages from angels who used to be demons when they used to do drugs. And again, there's no judgment here, but it's like they will share their story openly as an inspiration story. And it is not an inspiration. These are entities that have shapeshifted, and now they're trying to pretend to give psychic messages to your clients. And I just ask you to reconsider the story of what you've been through. Does it make sense that the horrible demons that were torturing you when you were an addict and suffering through that, do you really believe that those demons are now angels? Or that they were angels all along and they were pretending to be demons? Like, what? Come on. Please. I feel like I'm like shouting into the abyss so much of the time. I'm like, please, I don't want you to be giving your life in service to dark entities because I care. But it'll be up to you whatever you do with this message is up to you. Okay. But that's number 3 sign that you are definitely dealing with a false light entity, is that it starts off, the entity or entities start off scary or negative, and then they turn positive later. That is not a genuine entity. Those are, well, they're genuine entities. They're real, but they are not authentically who they say they are. Number 4 sign that you're definitely dealing with a false light entity is that the entity interacts differently with different people. Here's what I mean. You might have an entity that is telling you it is the goddess so-and-so, and you are so convinced about this entity, and you're having a wonderful experience, and yet your friend comes along, and this entity attacks your friend for 2 weeks. Okay? That's a sign that entity is not who they are presenting themselves to be. That's an example of how the entity is interacting differently with different people. It's pretending to be one thing with you or with so-and-so, and then it shows a whole different personality with someone else. There you have a problem. Okay? And then lastly, the fifth sign that you are definitely dealing with a false light entity is that if at any time you have a so-called positive entity, a being that says that it's Jesus, a being that says that it's Archangel Michael, I'm just naming off some of the common ones, a being that says that it's what else is common? Mary Magdalene is another common one. I know people who channel Mary Magdalene for their business, for their spiritual business, or your spirit guides. Spirit guides, that's a very common one. So whatever the entity says that it is, if at any time that entity lies to you, like you later find out that, oh, what it was saying wasn't true, right? If it lies to you, if it harasses you in any way, if it's mean, okay, or if it seems to be driven from ego, like you must worship me, that sort of thing, or if it violates boundaries, like wanting to have sex with you, or it just violates boundaries in other ways, any boundary violations, not just sexual. If it lies, harasses, if it's full of ego, if it violates boundaries, any of those, you are definitely dealing with an entity that is a trickster, and it is not who or what it's trying to pretend to be. Okay? So I'm out here trying to teach people about false light entities. One of the most common things that I see is that people will hear me use that term, false light entities, and they go, oh yeah, that sounds really interesting. And yet they'll tell me a story that is so obvious that it's false light. Like there's every bit of logic, even every bit of logic. And like, you don't have to be psychic like me to just use logic and to go, okay, this is a trickster, right? And so what happens is, like, the people will hear the term false light, but their brain says, well, but that doesn't apply to my situation, because it only applies to other people, because it only happens to people who are stupid. Okay. And no, it doesn't only happen to people who are stupid, and you are not stupid. I know a lot about false light. I've had numerous run-ins with different types of false light entities, and I can tell you for a fact that they are, some of them are extremely masterful, especially jinn, are extremely masterful at deception. They are so talented at shape-shifting and fooling a person. And so, some of them, like jinn, can read your mind, and they will know what tricky way, like how the trickiest ways to get you to believe in them. Okay? And really, maybe the only way that you'll believe what I have to say is if you read my story and I'm in the middle of writing my 4th book. It is, I'm not going to share the title yet, but it is all about false light. And I do give information about false light that's very helpful. But most of the book includes all of my stories, or all of my the most impactful stories and my encounters with false light, so that you can experience secondhand, even though you can't experience firsthand what I've gone through. You can see what I've gone through and why I know these things. And through my stories, hopefully you'll be able to develop that level of discernment, that spidey sense, so that you won't be tricked anymore. So I'm only on chapter 2, and I'm only on chapter 2, and there's about maybe 7 more chapters to go, but the writing is going really fast. So hopefully I'll have it by the end of 2025. We'll see. I'll keep announcing it. But for now, I'm going to keep putting out videos about false light and about other aspects of psychic protection. So, and also I'll be putting out more videos, more. So, the best way to connect with me nowadays for free content is my YouTube channel. So if you're watching this somewhere else, head over to YouTube, because then you'll be able to see both my longer videos and my shorter videos. That's where it all is. And it's all like neatly organized by topic and everything. You can find what you want on there. And I'm going to be doing more videos. I was doing just 1 a month, maybe 2 a month, and I'm going to be doing more. So be sure to subscribe and like and follow and all those good things. Thank you so much for watching. It is my honor to share this information with you. I hope that you'll take it in and consider the information and use your discernment. As always, sending you lots of love.